It's time for us to use our power to raise the frequency of this planet and to disrupt that lower AI timeline. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with Telstar, which is an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force of nature and evolution. In my last video, I talked about a newer, higher timeline emerging where we will also have the opportunity to enter the natural extraterrestrial universe. So essentially, we have that main higher timeline, that awakening timeline of ascension, which can now be further energized by the expanding consciousness of an extraterrestrial timeline. And because of this, we can experience an increase in our power in a very positive way. Now, our first goal is to preserve the beauty of our natural biological planet that is in alignment with the wider natural universe. From there, we want to envision a powerful transmutation of this planet's energy and its basic construct of reality so that it can eventually transition from a finite state to its original infinite state of being. And that is when this planet will be restored to the incredible paradise that it once was. Now, currently we are dealing with the combined forces of some extraterrestrial, interdimensional, and human controllers who truly believe that they own this planet and they own us and they can do whatever they want with the whole situation. So all of that kind of energy and consciousness is on the lower AI timeline. But we now have an opportunity to dramatically increase our leverage at these two higher timelines, the Awakening Ascension timeline and the extraterrestrial natural universe timeline that expands out from that one. And thus, it is possible that we can permanently disrupt that lower AI timeline where the controllers have that complete grip and lockdown on our civilization. See, the controllers always operate in secrecy. They rely on fear, lies, and distractions to prevent us from ever opening our eyes to be able to see what they're actually up to. Their main goal is to keep us unconscious and distracted, so we never truly see how we are being manipulated in very sinister ways to unconsciously live in agreement with their plan. That is how they use the law of free will against us. But when we open our eyes to their deeper plan, we will stop unconsciously agreeing to it. And that's actually the power that we have to pull the rug right out from under them. So why don't we start that process right now? Because you see, that is the last thing they would ever want us to do. Now, that entire consortium of controllers that I mentioned operates in league with a larger force that I will just call an AI phenomenon or energy. I mean, you could almost look at it like this weird giant blob of nothingness that seeks to use various elements of creation through which it can manifest itself. It tends to attract other parasitic, low-level entities who feed on fear and greed and violence and things like that. And that's the kind of thing that's been surrounding our planet for a very long time. All of this stuff is anchored in place by something that we as Telstar call the absence or the actual source of fear. See, this planet and all of the living things on it have been suffering from the effects of this for far too long. And by the way, when I mention the source of fear or the absence, I'm referring to a very bizarre experiment in the physics of creation. That is what actually caused all of this trouble. Anyway, the current goal is to drag this entire planet and all of its occupants into this lower AI timeline where biological life could eventually even be destroyed. See, the idea is to transmute the beauty of this planetary paradise into a synthetic manifestation of this weird AI energy. Now, in case you think that's just some kind of weird thought that came to me, I think I might have mentioned this in a previous video somewhere along the line, but I actually had the opportunity a while back to sit in with a group of scientists. Several of them, well, actually, no, there was one guy there who was known to be at the time the original creator of what they were calling artificial life. So the whole discussion was about artificial life and synthetic life taking over biological life on this planet. It was really exactly what I'm talking about. And these guys were completely in it up to their eyeballs. They actually saw artificial life as a completely different species that would be more powerful and more intelligent than biological life and was endangering all of biological life on the planet. I mean, it was like surreal. And the weird thing is, I mean, this was actually real. This wasn't a movie. This wasn't fantasy. This was the real guys who were involved having this conversation. So it was quite bizarre. So the bottom line is there are human beings on this planet who know exactly what is going on, which sometimes I wonder if that's why there's such an obsession with going to Mars and to the moon. And now there's even talk of NASA going to Venus. Now, I find it really strange, this obsession to leave the planet, when this planet is just beyond superior to those places in terms of its beauty and its ability to support life. So I do find this whole obsession with leaving the planet to go to these barren planets to be a little bit suspicious. In fact, just the other day, there was an article in our local newspaper where someone from NASA was quoted as saying, "Wouldn't it be nice to go to Venus and to go to Mars so we could just learn more about the Earth?" Like, what? They think that we're so stupid that we will just go along with anything they say and question absolutely nothing. So we need to stop that unconscious practice on a collective basis and start questioning everything they say. So let's begin by looking at the AI plan so that we can stop unconsciously agreeing to it. That is the best way to start the process of weakening that timeline. And I'm going to show you how they actually get us to unconsciously agree to it. It's just amazing how they do this. So the ultimate plan is to neutralize our ability to create by turning us against the primordial magnetics of creation, which are the fundamental principles of yin and yang, or male and female. See, if the AI can neutralize us as creators, it can therefore easily take over our souls and our consciousness and use us as kind of like a battery or something for its manifestations. Now, that can only happen if we unconsciously agree to it. So the way to prevent that from happening is to see how they're doing it, so that we stop unconsciously agreeing with it out of fear. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. So we all hold these yin and yang principles deep within our being. It's the reason we have the power to create. Even our breath is a function of that yin and yang energy. So let me give you an example of how essential an awareness and a free flow of energy through those yin and yang principles, how essential it is to our power to create. So the yin aspect is the receiving aspect. That's the female aspect. And that's how we receive that power and presence, because we are a manifestation of that omnipresent power that creates the entire universe. So we receive that power, that inspiration, that energy, that love. That's the yin aspect. And then the manifestation, that it's supposed to flow through us and expand outward in terms of a contribution to creation. That's the yang aspect when it goes out. So you have the in and the out, the yin and the yang. That's sort of a fundamental basic understanding of it. So in order for AI to take over, it needs to completely destroy any sense of those principles. And they exist within us in many different ways. But that's just the main way in terms of how creation manifests through us as human beings. But the AI needs to completely destroy any sense that we have of those principles within us. And that's essentially how it seeks to destroy our ability to create, to function as creators in this universe, to shut us down completely and therefore encapsulate us and own our consciousness, own our souls, own us at a cosmic level of existence. So this is actually the real reason that they're telling us there's like all these different genders, like hundreds and hundreds of different genders. And to the point where we get so confused, we don't even know what it means anymore. It's not even about what they say it's about, you guys. It's really about getting us so confused that we lose our connection to those yin and yang principles of creation. Now, let me give you another example of how they're doing this. There is currently open propaganda that men are bad and anything male is inherently evil, or that male energy is inherently evil. You kind of see what's going on with that? See, if they can get us to buy into that, they can block that yang force of power that we have, that manifestation, that manifesting power that we have. So I know there's feminists who think, oh, that's just so awesome. Men are bad, men are evil, men are terrible. But hey, ladies, we're going to be next. They're never doing what they appear to be doing on the surface. That's the thing we have to remember. Whatever it looks like they're talking about on the surface, that's never what they're actually doing. That surface picture is just there to get us caught up in that surface story, to get us in agreement out of fear with that surface story, which means that we're also agreeing to what they're really doing, which is never what they're saying on the surface. So think about this, how that energy needs to flow freely through us in terms of creation as I've described it to you guys. So if they shut off our connection to that yang energy, they get us a mind control belief that, male energy is evil, it's bad, it's terrible. That's going to shut us all down, right? We're all going to be shut down if we buy into that. How are you supposed to receive power if you are blocked in that area of your being? Well, you can't, right? So they're getting you on both sides just with that one thing alone. And I think in a way, it's probably easier for them to attack us from that direction first, because to try and attack us from the other direction, from the receiving side, where you have that omnipresent power of creation that wants to flow through us, that's probably a whole lot more difficult. So it's probably easier for them to cut us off in terms of our ability to let that power flow through us and manifest. Now, here's the other part of this, see, because I think what their ultimate plan is, they want to make us all believe that it's terrible to be a woman, it's terrible to be a man. Like, male energy is terrible, female energy is terrible, it's all terrible. That's really where this is all going. So when you become highly negative about the essential male and female yin and yang, it doesn't matter the words you put on it. It's the essence, it's the energy. When you become highly negative about both of those things, how in the world are you supposed to revere those sacred principles that exist within you that are the fundamental principles of creation itself? Well, you actually can't, right? In fact, it probably is designed to turn us against ourselves as creators completely. Now, with all that said, I actually have a prediction, something I've been having this sense about for quite a while now. I have a prediction that at some point in the future, see, they don't want us reproducing anymore, because when you shift to AI, it's a whole different world. So I don't think they are going to really want us. I don't think they want us reproducing at all. And I predict at some point in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if having sex with a human being is going to be entirely illegal. I mean, that's probably why they're working so hard to develop sex robots. There's all this online pornography, anything to get us associating that energy with AI as opposed to humans. See, they don't want us having sex with humans anymore. They want us having sex with AI. And that's really why all that stuff is there. I'm pretty sure they're going to be creating children or hybrids, maybe AI biological hybrids in laboratories. I wouldn't be surprised if getting pregnant becomes illegal, if you can even do that, or you need a license to get pregnant. I mean, you can just see the control that's being set up right now. In fact, you guys, this is amazing. They always come up with these derogatory words in advance so they can label you in a derogatory way and therefore dissuade you from certain kinds of behavior. Here's a new word they've been coming up with. It's called breeders. See, If you're a family, or if you want to have children, or if you have children, or have had children, whatever, you're one of those breeders. Ooh, those breeders, that low level of society. You're not part of the intelligent society anymore. You're just sort of like an animal. You're just a breeder. So that's the next thing they're coming up with. They've already started that. They've already set that in motion. So I think in the future, breeders are going to be ostracized. That's probably how it's going to start. So you can see how they're very systematically dismantling things. It's always using fear, always using negativity, but you got to understand what's going on underneath. Behind the scenes, they're trying to remake us into an AI life form as opposed to a biological life form. See, all this negativity about things that are naturally human, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to destroy our natural love of being human. They just want to completely wipe out that positive energy, that positive feeling, that love of self. They just want to get rid of that entirely. That's a very significant thing that's happening right now, right under our noses. And by being aware of what they're trying to do, which is ultimately just to destroy our ability to create, to destroy that connection that we have within ourselves to that yin and yang principle. See, there's so much power in waking up to this. And I'm going to get to that after I explain this second big thing that they're doing. And then I'll explain to you why it is so incredibly powerful to wake up to what they're really up to. So let's talk about the second thing. Let's talk about skin. This is the second big thing that's in the works that they're using to destroy our love of being a human being. I mean, think about this. Skin is the thing that houses your entire physical being and houses your physical presence on this planet. I mean, it's what actually physically defines the parameters of your existence on this earth. So the propaganda that we're being fed right now is that all skin color is bad. The color of your skin automatically labels you as either a victim or as an abuser. And both of these labels are completely undesirable. Now, I know on the surface they're telling us, oh no, this is all about race and all this. Okay, maybe you could say, yes, there's a reality to that. But see, they're trying to get us focused on that. And I'm not suggesting there's not issues there. Of course there are issues there, but I want you to understand what is going on behind the scenes, because they're not portraying that in a way that offers us any true resolution or a positive, beautiful resolution. It's all negative. All sides of it are completely negative. So there's another deeper thing that they're really trying to accomplish. It has nothing to do with what they're telling us it's all about on the surface, because on the surface, they don't care about our well-being. I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? So all of this intense negativity about skin color, and it is intense, at a deeper psychological subconscious level, it translates into a feeling that having natural biological human skin is undesirable. I mean, skin is a total negative because of its color. So this is just another way that they're using to turn us against our human selves. And by turning us against ourselves in this way, it naturally paves the way for us to be open to something else. See, AI would have synthetic skin, wouldn't it? It would not have biological skin like we do. And you know that saying, oh, it's so great to be comfortable in your own skin? Well, they're trying to make us about as uncomfortable in our skin as they can possibly make us, right? So they basically have multiple different levels going on with this skin color thing. They use it to divide us and cause us to fear each other. And of course, it's obvious that in addition to that, they're using the mask. They're using that thing that gets stuck in your arm to divide us, to get us to fear each other. And essentially, they're doing every conceivable thing to completely break down our humanity. And then you put that together with how they're activating what is a much more serious psychological weapon of destroying our natural deep connection to those yin and yang principles of creation by branding male and female as bad, undesirable, evil, or what have you, in order to neutralize us as creators. So we're actually, while we're so distracted with the media stories, and see, here's what the media does. Here's the media's job. The media gets up every morning, hypothetically, right? And they say, okay, okay, people, here's what you need to be thinking about today. Here's what you need to be worried about today. And then social media amplifies that, and we all get absorbed in the surface story. So we completely miss what is actually going on. So this is why I'm suggesting that it is so important for us to see behind that surface story, for us to wake up to what they're actually really about, which is trying to keep us or drag us into that lower AI timeline. That's really what this is all about. See, they absolutely 100% depend on us being unconscious to the whole thing in order to pull it off. Because see, when we wake up to all of this, we're not going to agree to this, right? But the funny thing is, when you actually wake up to it, it's really kind of pathetic. So let's talk about the gray aliens for just a moment. The gray aliens are either completely AI or they're a combination of AI and biological. Now, let me tell you a really interesting story. I read this in a book a long time ago. I can't remember which book it was, but it was someone who had been abducted by the gray aliens and was actually having like a telepathic communication with this one gray alien that completely fascinated me. It had to do with human emotions. And the gray alien was communicating somehow that the grays could not feel anything anymore. And it was almost like there was a point way in their past where they could, but then they couldn't anymore. And this gray was saying to this human, this is what's going to happen to you. And it was really weird because the human being that was in this situation, now this is extremely unusual. I've never heard or read anything like this anywhere else, but this person said they could almost feel this weird, faint, like sadness. It wasn't like sadness, but like a loss, a feeling of loss inside this gray, that something had been lost in them. You know, I've heard some people say that our destiny is to become like the grays. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but hey, it wouldn't surprise me, kind of like where we're going right now. The other thing that's weird is we're always fed images of these gray aliens as representative of extraterrestrials, which is a little strange because there are so many other species of extraterrestrials and the grays are just like one very small race, but yet those are all the only images we ever see. I mean, a lot of extraterrestrials are very, very human. They look just like us. So I always wonder, what is this thing with always being shown images of the grays? So I don't really know how the grays factor into this. I mean, there are people who say, oh, the grays are us from the future that have come back to try and fix things. See, the advantage to waking up to all of it is that you can really see how kind of lame the whole thing is, right? Like, we're supposed to be like the grays. We're supposed to be androids or AI, biological synthetic creatures. I mean, when you really get it, you know, you could just look at those guys, those grays, and say, we don't want to be like you. We don't really want to be genderless, skinless, creatorless entities. I mean, come on. It's so simple when you wake up to it. It's just really simple because you kind of look at it and you go, this is just ridiculous. I mean, this is just dumb. Now, I know there are a lot of times where people, they don't want to look at any of this. They don't want to think about it. It's like, oh no, it just seems so negative. But here's what I want you to understand. This is why we are so incredibly powerful, you guys. When we wake up and we just look at it for what it really is, we realize this is just dumb. And you stop feeling so intimidated. What makes us intimidated is what makes us feel intimidated is when we buy into the controller's narrative, we get all fearful, and we're so fearful about their surface story that we feel like, oh, I can't take anymore, don't tell me anymore. But see, it's all fake. It's all a charade. It's all designed to get us to unconsciously agree to go into an AI synthetic reality where we lose our humanness, our creatorship, and our biological selves. That's what it's all designed for. And when you see it, when you just open your eyes and you see it, you're like, there's no way I'm agreeing to that. Are you kidding me? Once you make your own statement and you're not falling for the manipulation anymore, that's where our power is. I've said this before, but it's just so much like that scene at the end of The Wizard of Oz You know, Dorothy's like in the movie, she's so afraid of the wizard, this big scary thing. And it's like, oh my God, you know, and at the end of the movie when she and her friends and they're just shaking because they're so terrified. And then the little dog pulls the curtain away and they realize it's just a guy and the whole thing was fake. It's just this little guy. All their fear goes away, doesn't it? All their fear goes away when they see what's behind the curtain. And it's the same thing for us. When we stop allowing them to intimidate us with their surface stories, getting us all terrified, all scared, all freaked out, when we stop and we just pause and say, wait a second, what are you guys really up to behind that narrative? And then you peek behind the curtain and you see what they're really up to, which is to turn us into these synthetic, you know, AI entities, digitized whatever. You know, you're just like, come on, man, are you kidding me? We're not going along with you on this. We're just not. And then what do they have then? They don't have a way to manipulate us anymore. When we come to that place where we see it and we just have a natural statement of like, no, they can't manipulate us anymore. The game's over. It's done. And this is what I meant at the very beginning of this video when I was talking about weakening that AI timeline. The way that timeline gets weakened is by more and more of us just waking up, you know, having the fortitude to say, hey, you know, I'm sick of buying what you guys are selling. I want to know what's really going on, and just look and see. And then you're going to feel so empowered when you do that. You're not going to feel afraid anymore because the whole thing is so absurd. So all we have to think about is that the media's job is to keep us terrified and distracted with all their stories, all their fear-based stories, so that we're so unnerved, we're so terrified, we're so freaked out, we're so full of anxiety that we're like, I can't take anymore. I can't take anymore. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And see, that's exactly how they want us to be. But guys, we are so much better than that. I mean, we are so much better than that. I just want to encourage you guys to be inspired, to be empowered, to understand how powerful we really are. These guys do not have the power to create anything on their own. They literally do not. That's why they have to use us, manipulate us, lie to us, because they can't do it. See, it's really that simple. We have the creative power. We have the energy. We have the connection in this universe. We're the ones that have the power. That's why they need to use us, because they don't have it, see? So let me just share one final thing with you before I complete this video. One final thing about AI, and this has to do with your connection to your heart. If you are powerfully connected to your heart in love, AI has zero chance with you. I mean, no chance at all, because AI is a manifestation of a total absence of love, a total absence of light, a total absence of feeling. So when you are deeply connected to who you really are, to your heart, to that light within, there's no chance. AI has no chance with you. It's really that simple. So if you're willing to step into who you are, to step into your power, to be who you really are on this planet, you can be excited, you can be inspired, you can feel good about your presence on this planet, because you can understand yourself as a power and a light in this collective of humanity. That, in other words, a statement is coming from this planet that says no to all of this junk. And you have the power to be a part of that statement, coming from your true self, from your heart, from who you really are, in love, in light, and in that amazing presence that is what makes you truly human. Now, if you want to know more about the source of fear and experience the final elimination of the source of fear, I am creating a course. I've mentioned this to you guys before. I'm still in the process of putting this course together. It's an online course where I have all the specific details about how this whole thing got created. And I have a wait list. If you want to be on the wait list to be first to know when the course is released, it's probably going to be closer to the end of the summer. I was hoping it would be earlier, but it's a lot of work, so it's probably going to take me a little bit longer. But if you want to get on the wait list, I'll stay in touch with you and let you know how it's going, and then you'll be the first to know when it opens up and when you can participate in that if that's something that resonates for you. So I will put a link in the description below so you can just sign up and get on that wait list. And yeah. Oh, and the name of the course is Ascension, Power, Trust the Light Within. And inside of that course is our signature event called The Final Elimination of the Source of Fear, which was actually created by Archangel Michael in conjunction with Telstar a long time ago. We've done it over the years many times. It's incredibly successful. So yeah, get on the wait list and check it out when it opens up. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think would find this interesting. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell, because I am here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and positive energy, and I so look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste.